Good evening. I'm going to say this is a video made for two who both came to me and said it's time to get on the board and get busy. That is God and Archangel Michael, as promised. I will speak. And the reason why I have to speak is because before I was born, God breathed something into me. And it's been waiting for this, a time such as this, to speak it. You see, when I was chosen, I wasn't just chosen by God. I was chosen by my lineage. Those ancestors all the way up to my own parents. The chosen prior to me was my grandmother, actually. And she's the one who passed down the baton to me and gave an inheritance to me. Boy, you better believe she's mad. I never got that inheritance. We'll see how that gets worked out. Anyway, but here's the deal. All right. When God came and told me, okay, it's time for you to wake up, and you woke me up just like I'm going to wake all the people out there, the 144,000. It's time to wake up. But I got woke up first. And there was actually supposed to be another woman who would be actually this is a real word, that would be my masculine. But she refused. She didn't want to take that role. So, by my request, I asked that it be the person who I lived with at the time. She also, although she wanted to have the title, she wanted to work. So it was up to me to do it alone, you know. Now, have I been alone? Well, it felt like it at times, many times. It's a lonely walk. But I always knew, and I was always told that don't worry, I'm with you. I'm always going to be with you. You may not see me, but you know I'm there. And that was God. And at any given time, I have a legion of angels camped around my home. I know that. So I never take threats as anything, you know, because I know they won't ever make it to me, you know. So I don't have time for doing the silly nonsense and listening to the nonsense that people spout. Most oftentimes I just kind of pass it off like, well, yeah, whatever. But every once in a while I get angry, and I probably need to ask God to forgive me because I sure got angry today. I wonder, you know, do those people that are still alive today, that are part of my lineage, understand exactly what I had to do our family had a lot of curses on it. How they got there, I don't know. I don't know. But when you are that curse breaker, it's generally going to be, and most lineages have that. They, it's one time or another, they've got to take the curses that have developed in the people in their lineage, because they'll see, you know, do the sins of the father get passed down to the children? Yes, they do. There's a lot of things, when it comes to lineage, all that stuff, I mean, things that I don't readily understand, and that it's not mine to understand. All it is for me to do is to break them, to take them upon me, and undo them, make them stop at me, and no more will that be a matter for my lineage to have to deal with. Meanwhile, you've got people trying to put new ones on you, But believe me, this is not an easy walk. If anybody thinks that it is, it's doubtful that they could have walked it. I wasn't ready when God woke me up. God had to get me ready. And, let me see something here. My notes here. You see, mine was kind of a dual or three-pronged deal, walk that I had to go down, and I'm still going down it. I'm not done. Curse breaking was probably the easier part of this walk. I've never wanted to be, being the black sheep, that puts kind of a hard thing on you. You're different, and people don't understand you, and your family doesn't understand you. They don't care to understand you. They work at not understanding you, and they want to push you down all the way to the bottom, and that's where you're going to stay if you stick around. But beware. We are the strongest. We are the ones who can take the most, and it's doubtful that we will stay down ever. So all you black sheeps out there, rise up, because you are the strongest ones in your family. And it's meant to be that way. Of course, like I said, in order to do some of the things I would have to do and go through, God would have to get me ready, and that's the job. Now, let me tell you, and a lot of times it's just about, you spend a lot of time alone, and you go through, and this is something that all people should do because we're in the end times. And my heart's been weighed, and it had to be light as a feather. There are many out there who don't have that yet because they haven't done the work. The work entails, we go through heartbreaks, we go through, traumas in our lifetime. Those things that we just pass off, we have to just leave them where they sit for now and carry on with life. But eventually, we have to go in And we have to feel those things. We have to take them out, look at them, feel them. Then we can discard them. And that sends you into things like the dark night of the soul. And that's a lot of tears. But it has to be done. But that's how you heal your emotional and your spiritual wounds. Because, and some of them will be gaping holes. And that dark side will try to use those wounds to hurt you and to keep those wounds open so that they can get in there, and they'll use them to their advantage, trust me. Narcissists are real good at that. But when it comes down to it, you do that walk alone. Twin flames are kind of a strange thing. I guess maybe Adam and Eve was probably twin flames, because you got one soul, and you take it and you divide it between two people, a man and a woman generally. And no matter where that person is, their actions and their life will be felt by you in your soul, you see. And the thing is that they come together. And that's why you see them run. And listen, it's not an easy walk at all. That is a hard walk, and I know, because I've done it, and I don't want to do it again. People think it's a romantic thing. It's not a romantic thing. What it is that you will mirror each other, and it will show you what about your spirit, your personality, and the flaws that are in you, and the things that you need to fix. So that's why they run from each other. But eventually, after they've run and they've chased and they've run, they come together. That's part of the healing. And in order to be divine, you have to go through that. I mean, you have to, my lineage is a royalty. I've got some royal blood in me somewhere. That was part of the deal. And my person also has a royalty, and it's not the same one as mine, you see. And what would have happened had they have done the right thing is we would have come together, and we would have been there to kind of rule that part of the body of Christ, God's kingdom. I don't know where it goes from here on that deal. I really don't. So much has been, there's been a lot of harm done, and we'll just have to see how that goes. I don't know yet. I'm not going to comment on it any further than that right now. But everybody, that's that part, okay? But the reason why I was made and sent here, you see, they call me an archangel. I didn't know that, I'm one of the light workers, the 144,000. And anyone who's one of those light workers knows that we're a bit different, and we carry something in us that we are the light, you know. We are, you know, I mean, most of us have a natural want to help people. We, if you see someone broke down on the side of the road, well, where that guy comes, pulls over and helps them out and gets them unstuck or whatever, without any regard for ourselves and without wanting anything in return. We help. It's a nature that's one of the natures in us. And everyone's got different talents, Everyone's got different things that they do. Now, the reason I'm telling you all this is these are things I've learned in the past, well, about 4.5 years since I met God, since the night He came to my house and came and spoke to me. I spoke to Him on different occasions since then. And right now, He's trying to direct my steps, on this walk, so that I get through it. Because there were times when I had my doubts as to whether I would make it. But God said, no, we're going to get you through it. Don't you worry about that. You're going to make it on this. And I've come a long way. From the time I started this thing until now, I don't recognize myself. I don't recognize who I am. From that, I don't see that person here anymore. And you have to say goodbye to some of the things, the toxic ways that you are. We all got toxic ways. I don't care if you're karmic or you're anybody. Nobody's perfect. I don't care. I've met a lot of people who think they are, but they aren't. And God doesn't look for perfection. He doesn't. And a lot of times I would go through doing things that I didn't want to fail. Because when you're the black sheep, you don't get much leniency whenever you're doing something. You gotta do it right or you're gonna be in trouble. That's just the way it is. I hate to say it. I'm guessing that a lot of people who are like me know that, but so I had to get over the fact that God wasn't looking for me to be perfect, and He wasn't going to punish me if I failed. Back He said, listen, it's okay if you fail. I'm not going to scold you. I'm not going to be mad at you. That's just part of learning. You're just going to learn a lesson, and you go back and do it right, because you just learned how to do it. And that's why whenever you go through these battles, these spiritual battles, you only fail one time. You only get beat one time. And then they won't do it again, because in your subconscious, even, that lesson is learned. And you won't fail again. And they can't beat you again. I've never seen it happen. That once, there were times they were hitting me hard. And I know that they know they were, but nor did they care, but hey. Times God changes, I see it. And, it hurts your feelings pretty bad, because these are people that you're supposed to love you, supposed to care about you. They're part of your family members and stuff like that, or friends that you thought were friends. And they just flat betray you for sometimes nothing more than greed. And it just, I'm going to guess that they probably had demons in them. You know, maybe they don't realize the extent of what they did. And because, you know, like it says in Ephesians, we don't wrestle with flesh and blood, but principalities who rule the earth. And, you know, some of these people are walking around, they don't have souls left because they gave them up whenever they were in these battles. They wanted to win so bad that they actually sold their souls. And believe it or not, listen, I didn't know any of that stuff when I walked into this deal. I didn't see any of that, but yeah, that's real. Uh, I wondered to the people that I cared about, is there some way I could get their souls back? God said, that's not your job to do that. No. But that's a God thing, you know. And I really, it breaks your heart. It really does, you know. People don't understand. Chosen ones are a different breed. And believe it or not, they tell me my heart is pure. And that means I don't go around wishing bad upon people that I care about or anybody. You know, I never wanted to just be mean and go into do something that I knew was wrong. You know, I mean, I've done things that I thought were right, and I've done them, and that person may not have liked it, but I knew I was right. You know, and generally, if there was a fight going, I took the side of my own family. I fought for them. I didn't fight against them. Loyalty and friendship and loyalty and love and things like that. Those things are very important to me. But they may not be as important to someone else. And so in that way, then I've changed. Because whereas I settled for people who would be like that, I won't settle anymore. I won't tolerate it, you know. I'm forgiving, but I certainly won't be burned more than once. It's just, you know, you learn a lesson, then you know my worth of my own person is a lot higher now than it was when I started this walk. It has to be. And when you learn just exactly what the thing when God sent His Son to the cross, you know, you look at that and you know, you got to really put some thought into that, because I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. And I was smoking some shit or something, and I was supposed to be up doing what I do, but I was too high, you know. And God came to me. I mean, right to my face. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, you know, I felt bad. I felt guilty. You know." See how that's how we get separated from God. He said, "Well, I can't use that. So you get over it." He said, "Do you think that I don't know the things that you do?" I said, "Well, I guess you would. You're God." And he said, do you know how many times in your life I have forgiven you?" And I know that I couldn't count those. He said, "But my son paid the price for that sin, okay? He paid for it already. So you don't have time to sit around and be guilty, feel guilty about what you've done. Okay, see the problem, fix the problem, But get back to work, because I can't use that guilt. I can use your brokenness. I can use that. I don't ask you to be perfect, but I'm not gonna. I can't use that guilt because you're not gonna be able to do anything for anybody if you're feeling all guilty and stuff. And he was right. God's very intelligent. I mean, he's a father. And being a father myself, I look at the way. Fact is, my father wasn't much of a father. Uh, he had a lot of flaws. He didn't care much for me, so he wasn't really there. But so I always kind of fashioned when I was raising my own child as if I were God and a father, how would I treat my son? And because I loved my son. And when you think about all that, while you're thinking about it, think about Abraham and God's holding. I mean, think about it. Yeah, Abraham always wanted a child. He wanted a son so bad. But Sarah couldn't have one. But when God came to him, he came to Abraham and Lot. They didn't have enough room to be both lived together with all their livestock and stuff. So they separated and went their ways. Now Abraham was he was very devout and very loyal to God. And God said, well, I'll tell you what, you're going to have a child, and I'm going to make you a father of many nations. And now Abraham heard that, he took that as gospel. He believed it like nobody's business. Now Sarah, on the other hand, laughed. She like, yeah, right. God asked her, did you just laugh at me? No, yes you did. I heard you laugh at me. Well, it was many years. I think Abraham was 75 years old. And I think he finally had that child when he was 90 years old or something like that, or 100 years old. But he screwed up. He went because he wanted that child so bad that he Sarah offered him her handmaiden that she could have a baby for Abraham. Now that was a gift from her, but it was going to create a lot of mess. It's still creating a mess even today. But there was a jealousy there that and I'm sure that it broke Sarah's heart to know that her husband had to be with someone else to have that baby, and that must have killed her. And I bet you Abraham didn't feel too great about it either. But that was the only way they were going to get a baby, he thought, because he forgot that. Listen, God, for man, it may not have been impossible, but for God, nothing is impossible. That's one of the first things he said to me. You need to start thinking that the impossible is possible. Okay? And I did. I kind of made my brain, and once you learn those things, you have to stick them way back, because you don't live your life based on your thoughts that you're thinking all day. you really you run them off of your subconscious mind, and you got to get that in there to when you manifest things and whatever. That's going to be coming from your subconscious mind. It's got to be an automatic thing that you don't even think about. That it's in there. Your belief system. And anyway, so about here it comes around 100 years old or something. And I'll be darned if Sarah didn't have a baby. And now there's going to be a real problem because poor old Abraham was catching hell from both these women. Yeah, because one of them was his wife, one of them was his mother of a child, and it was causing that poor man hell. Can you imagine? Well, so then finally God told him, he said, listen, just leave the handmaiden and the child, the boy to me. I'll tend to them. I'll take care of them. Because Sarah had thrown her out and said, get out of here, go. And he said, don't worry, just worry about Sarah. You take care of them and Isaac, and I'll tend to the other. And he did, and that's when you got the Jewish or the Jewish faith, and you have the what are those like Iran, Iraq, and all those faith, that faith, Muslims, right? That's how those two came to be, and they're still fighting, and it all stemmed from jealousy. Well, anyway, so think about this. Now, back to where I was. You got here's a God who, although you know that Abraham doesn't know why God's going to do this, but he gives him something that he so wanted, so badly. Now God's going to test him because this walk that I've been on with God, you get tested a lot, and those tests are not easy, and they're not told that you're being tested, but hopefully you learn the lessons right, and you'll pass them, or you'll select them, you'll fail them, and you'll have to go back and learn that lesson again. Anyway, think about this. Now, God's going to test him. Now, why was he going to test him? Well, watch this. So he said, Abraham, I'm going to send you to a place I tell you, and when you get there, I want you to sacrifice your son. So he's giving that son to him. Now he wants to take that son back. And if he had any faith at all, if his faith was the way it should be, and his loyalty to God was the way it should be, then he had to do this. Now, Abraham believed in his heart of hearts that if he should raise his knife and he should sacrifice that child, that God could raise him again. Does it sound familiar? Because God put his own son on that cross. Because God knew that yes, he could raise him again. And that is the Christian faith. You see. And of course, as it went, and as he was walking through that place to build that altar and put his son on it, and he raised that big knife, and as he was walking there, Isaac asked him, "Well, Father, where are we going to get a sacrifice?" He says, "Don't worry, God will provide." So you want to tell him that you're the sacrifice, But he raised his hand that he's fixing to kill that child. Boy, I tried to pull that one off today. Huh? But then he heard, hold on there, buddy, hold on. Do not harm the child. Don't harm the child. And as they turned around and he realized that he wasn't going to have to do that, well, there was a bullet in the, caught in that big thing of fire that they're going to make where they're going to make a fire with all the branches and stuff he had stuck in there. God did provide. And he called that place something like Jehovah Jireh or something like that. God will provide. It was that, and it's still to this day, that place is called that, you see, because it was that sacred. And the walk that we do, light workers, if you're hearing this or seeing this, I want you to know, this walk is that sacred to God. And the work that we do is that sacred to God, because I came here to offer hope to mankind, not to Americans, for all of mankind. It's that big. Because God doesn't want, and can see, the thing about God is He can do a new thing. We all read the Bible, and we see that the book of Revelation is scary, very scary. But I did something on this walk where that got turned around and got rewritten because I passed that test. It was that important. I didn't know that that's what was at stake at the time, but I heard it the minute that I passed it, because heaven was glad that that didn't have to go down that way. So we're on a different course right now. And the things that we do, and believe me, all of heaven and God are watching what we do. And for the people who are screwing up, doing things against these chosen ones, not good. Very not good. But I tell you now that if you have done that, or it's time to go see God, it's time to go see God, and you're in the place where you need to go see God before you leave this planet, because you're going to need to be forgiven, or it can rewrite your story. I don't say that to scare you, but God is not one to play. He doesn't play about his children. And God does not play about me. I've seen him get angry. And it scared me. He doesn't play about his kids. And we are his kids. He treats us just like his children. What people might have thought we were derelicts or whatever, we are. Well, God, that's when God can use us, because that's when God can actually use us, because he can mold us and he can build us into what he needs us to be. So that's what we go through, and we get trained without even realizing it. But when the time comes for us to be tested, we find out that we are doing exactly the way God wanted us to do, because he's taught us in the things that we were having and the things that we would go through to get to that point. God has a way of teaching that you don't even know. It's kind of like, Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. It's kind of like that. You're doing, but not exactly like that, but you're doing your life, and you're doing the best you can at that part of life, and before you know it, that is in your subconscious mind as the exact thing you need to do in that given situation, any given situation of that that way. It's kind of weird, but God knows what He's doing. He built us, just like nowadays, Mr. Musk is building AI. He knows what He's doing about that, and you know. So those things are going to do what He says and how He does it. How they're going to act the way He thinks they're going to act. I mean, it's programmed into it, and that's what He's doing with chosen ones. He's programming us to be the light, maybe, or whatever thing that we are to do. My purpose is I was the light of the world, and I am to bring in heaven on earth. Big job, a very big calling. And when he first told me, I'm like, what do you say to that? Okay, okay, I'm gonna do right on that. You don't, you know, you don't ever just think, oh, okay, I'm going to get that done right now. No, you don't, because that's huge. But God has a way of teaching you the things you're going to need to learn to get that done. You see, and that is why, when it comes to God, my faith is unwavering. That if I have to go to battle on anything, you will not see me cower. I will not, because I have complete faith in that God. He says he's with me. I don't see him, but you think he says he's sitting here with me? I believe it. And I believe that if a bullet came shooting me through that window right there, that bullet would not make it to me. Just like when they sent somebody in as a hitman after me. What happened? The guy fell in love with me. Said I couldn't do it. That's about the way God would handle it. Because love is one thing that everybody can never have enough of. And it is the most important and the strongest vibration in the universe. You've heard the saying, love conquers all. It does. So you see, when we go to battle, generally we're not packing arms. We're packing the love of Christ. And it's powerful. Now, generally, by that time, God has taken you to a place where you need that. The person that maybe you're fighting needs that. And maybe they're going to be softened up their hearts a bit, that you can do that. Now, you don't go into it thinking, haha, I beat you. No, you don't. No, what you do is you try your best to love them. And believe me, hey, you get angry sometimes, but you try your best not to show it. You try to act in a way that's kind. But sometimes, even for me, that's a process. Because when you've known somebody for 60 years, and they do something to betray you, don't you think for a minute it doesn't hurt? Don't you think for a minute it doesn't get you mad? Because it does. So you see, forgiveness can sometimes be a process that you're going to have to deal with. Sometimes God has to put a check on you. Like, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. Not yet, buddy. You're not ready yet. That ain't going to work. but that's God's world, and God does set the rules in this universe. Now, don't think for a minute that there's not rules to the universe. There are, and they aren't the laws of the you know. Now, me, I didn't when I first stepped into this deal. I knew the difference because I had ancient knowledge. It came with me. It's written on my bones. And God's law is written on my heart. So I know those things. But if you ask me to, like back when I was in the Marine Corps, you had to, be able to recite your general orders and things like that. I couldn't recite those rules of the universe. I think there's 12 of them. But there are only two rules that Jesus left us. Two. And being human beings, being as we walk on this planet, love your God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And love your neighbor as you love yourself. And that covered all those laws that he had just died on the cross to fulfill. So those 10 commandments, they were fulfilled. God had that done with his son. But he still left us those two. And in a way, they are all of those 10 commandments embodied into two rules. And so we still are, and see, this generation has become very dark. We've allowed a lot to, and I'm not getting on that. I'm not saying I'm any better than anybody else. Don't get me wrong here. But we've gotten real lax in our ways, so that what I've seen happen to me through this walk, that would not have happened back in the 1960s, say. I mean, you could actually, I remember living in Mississippi, and your doors didn't have to be locked, and you could, maybe probably we were, but we lived there all for 12, 13 or 15 months. My mother was the only one there with us 7 kids. Nobody ever came in the house to try to get us. And when she had to go to the hospital or something, the neighbors were neighborly. They came what the hell they cooked for us and stuff, brought us over stuff to eat, and they were neighborly. That a neighborly that you don't see a whole lot of it anymore. Though you may know your neighbors, you might go borrow something from, but they're not. It's not the same thing. The reason you have your neighbors back at that time was you may need them. They had hurricanes, and we were right down by the hurricane. You'd see the dads out there working together to try to clean up the yards, and of course everybody helped. It was more of a community. Now you see covens that are communities. That doesn't quite make it. Maybe there are witches out there who do good witchcraft. I don't know. I know that. I know about that kind of thing. I don't use it. For all those people that tried to say that, well, they're doing it to me. No, he wasn't. I never do magic. Never. Because there's a law that goes around with that if it's good magic, I mean, maybe you're trying to heal somebody and they're using witchcraft to like medicine and whatnot like that. And I don't have a problem with that, because that's holistic healing and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. done for good. And that brings you back 3 times that goodness that you just put out there. You get that back 3 times. But when you do bad spells on somebody, make them sick, wish death upon them, that comes back to you 10 times worse. And when you do it to a divine being like me, it doesn't work. You can't hurt me with that because it's forbidden. And the universe is always watching. So you didn't do anything that the universe didn't see. And you've got karma out the ass hanging off your ass right now for doing those things. Not my fault, your fault. I've heard them blame me for all the things that they did. No, it's not my fault. I was just walking my path the way I'm supposed to. No, you have to pay for all that yourself, and I will not take that karma with you. But those people that think that they're going to be with me, you got a bunch of karma on you. No, I'm not going to be with you. I'm not, because that put that karma on me too. I'm not going to do it. I've walked a hard enough battle dealing with you people that did that. I'm not happy about it. But I'm not happy that you would even want to bring that to me. So, just I hope that answers any questions you may have on that subject. And I would hope that you would stop doing it. Learn a lesson from what I'm telling you now. Everything that you did is coming back. If it hasn't started by now, get ready. It's not my call. Once I gave it over to God because I could not deal with it anymore. Trust me, God doesn't play. So, I wanted to make say a prayer for all of the people out there. That was that part of that right there was through a select people that they know who they are. I want to say a prayer, and this is going to bring down, this prayer is to bring down the Holy Spirit upon everyone within my hearing. God told me what to pray for, and He will pour it out on all the people that want to be one of God's children, and then you want to be one of God's children. Trust me, you want to. God treats you. Hey, listen, God treats us well. He does. He looks out for us, and you want to be under that. You don't want to be someone who wants to come against that. You're not going to win. God does not lose. This is His creation. We are part of His creation. God does not lose to anyone. Think about that. So, if you don't want to be on God's team, then hey, guess what? You're not very smart. If you want to be part of God's world, and because God is real, whether you're not going to kick Him out of the world, out of the universe. He can kick you out of it though, but you're not going to kick Him out of it. This is His creation. We are part of His creation, and be happy that you are. Be thankful that we got a God like the way God is, because I've come to know God. I have a very close relationship with God, and he talks to me. He tells me things. I mean, I was a dumbass idiot. I didn't know anything. God did all of this. He's doing all of this to stop wars. How do you figure that? The paradigm that we just got evolved into was to stop the wars, to stop tearing up his planet and mankind killing themselves and start living like we were meant to, because somewhere down the road this bunch of dark people got a hold of the rule book, rewrote it for themselves, and started making sure that there's poor people and they got all the money and then they get everything that poor people don't get. You see, it's too one-sided and it's all got to change. That's part of the deal. There will be a redistributing of wealth and things like that, because why would, you know, 10 people have 90% of the wealth in the world? Jesus Christ. Think about it. Whatever the thing is on those people, you know what I mean? That ain't right. No, we don't have, there really should be no people starving on this planet. There was plenty. But somehow, a bunch of greedy people decided they're going to do it this way and make their money, and people would go hungry. And I'm sorry, that just is not acceptable. You want to go get diamonds and stuff and get rich, go ahead. But, you know, but when it comes to the food to feed God's children, no. We need to feed those children, all of them. And to not feed them is unacceptable. So, that's the way I see it. And so, I'm going to pray here and I'm going to ask God, Father, I am humbly coming to you as your servant. And all the people out there, I hope that they will agree that I ask you to awaken to my asking, that you will pour down your Holy Spirit upon this world, that you would know that your children down here need you and need that Spirit, and show us the ways that we should walk and should go, and show us the right way that we should change out to make the vision of God's kingdom to be. And I know what I've seen, but not everybody has seen my vision. And I ask that you kind of put us on the right road to get there. That you take away some of this greed out of people's minds and put a little love in their hearts. Soften up those hearts that people are willing to work with us, because I know you will, to work with us and change this world back to the way you intended it to be. And I ask it in your Son's holy name. Amen. To all the people out there, if you happen to stop by this thing, I hope that you'll just say amen when you hear that prayer. And let people, listen. Heaven has got to listen when that many people say amen to something that we want to happen. And God isn't, if we're doing something good, God's in it. Believe it. God has actually approved this thing, that we can actually all come together on it. Of course, there will be people who don't want to, but it's a good thing to look forward to, that we can actually bring heaven on earth to this planet. And it's time. And we are evolving, this planet's evolving, but we have to change with it. So let's look at it as a good thing, something that is worthwhile, that our children will see it as a legacy of this generation, that we did something good for this world, because we are in the new earth, and I say welcome to the new earth. And slowly you will see it start changing back to the way God intended it to be. What it has been hasn't been what God intended. World wars and things like that, no. Too many people get destroyed that had nothing to do with those wars. Ain't fair. They want to go have their wars, just stick them out in the ocean and let them kill each other. But for the people that are God's children, he said, the meek will inherit the earth. Think about that. You can get in the good book and you can see a lot of things that they said. Take them to heart. You know? I'm Barry Griffin. That's my name. I am the leader of this movement. And I have a lot of people and God and heaven behind me. And I'd like you to be behind me too. Let's get this thing done. I don't know how many more years I've got left in me, but I'll spend it doing this one thing. I'd like to think that the people that will fight against me so far won't be fighting against me through this, because that's all I ever wanted to do. I didn't want to be taken from anything from them. I am God's chosen. God's a pretty good guy. I love you all. Good night. I'll be coming on here periodically and sending out more things to say. God will tell me what he wants to say. Don't think he wasn't in this message. He is. I love you all. Good night.